Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. This morning, my name is Robert Hutchings. I will be chairing the hearing. I'm joined on the panel by Diane Knight and Valerie Werhum. Eric Gauthier is our assessor and Stephen Lunn is our secretary. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into this meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking in the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that we mail to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board of Queen to assess value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with this board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questioning. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Today we will be hearing items 1, 8, 9, 15, and 17 on our docket today. Mr. Lund, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony, and the first the first property on the docket is going to be 167 Herbert Street, file number 22-718, item number 1 on the docket. Mr. Lund.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Eric Gauthier.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Senkyu, please state your full name.
Bradley Senkyu.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lund. Good morning, Mr. Gauthier, Mr. Senkyu.
Morning.
The first property on the docket, just bear with us. I'm just going to pull up the assessor's brief. Is 167 Herbert Street, and we're dealing with a 2023 realty appeal.
Correct.
Mr. Gauthier, when you are ready, please.
The subject property is roll number 060934600275, commonly known as 167 Hébert Street, located in North St. Boniface. It's a 2-story single-family home built in 2015, has 1,889 square feet of living space above grade, has a full basement with basement finish, 3 full baths, 1 half baths with no extra showers, central air conditioning, no fireplace, no attached garage, but a multiple detached garage, no pools, no sunrooms. It's located on a plot of land that's 4,157 square feet, with no influences noted. Today I'm presenting, we have the 2023 assessed value at $712,000. Today I'm presenting 5 comparables, so there's one on the next page over. Hopefully I won't forget about it, but there isn't a second page. So all of the comparables, as you'll see on the map, we were lucky this time around to have comparables that were close by. They're all in North St. Boniface. They're all 2-story single-family homes, built between 2014 and 2017. The living areas vary, it's pretty tight range, vary between 1,787 square feet and 1,960 square feet. The basements are all full basements, but note that the 5th comparable, I'm showing a walkout basement. Basement finishing on all the comparables is finished except comparable number 1 has no basement finish. Bathrooms vary between full bathrooms vary between 1 and 3. Half baths vary between 1 and 2. Extra showers vary between, they all have 1. Central air conditioning is present in all the comparables. Fireplaces are all at 1 on the comparables. They either all have an attached or detached multiple garage. There are no pools noted. I have no sunrooms. The land size is pretty similar, as it's all kind of the same development. It varies between 3588 square feet and 4888 square feet. Comparable number 1 and comparable number 3 and 5 have a view of a park from across the street, so you may pay attention to that on the map. The sales all took place in our reference period. The sale prices vary between $690,000 and $875,000. The sale prices per square foot range between $386 and $446 a square foot. The time-adjusted sales prices vary between $703,000 and $949,000, and the time-adjusted sales prices per square foot vary between $393 and $484 a square foot. I'm recommending to maintain the assessed value at $712,000. You'll notice kind of at the lower end of our range there. And just a note that it was built by Hearth Homes, it's not a track home builder. It's not necessarily top of the line, but it's kind of typically a better quality builder. So to note, there were only 3 or 4 builders that I'm aware of that built in that development. There were Merrick Homes, KDR, and KDR, Merrick, and the subject was built by her. So there's 3 builders that I'm aware of in there, and they're all fairly similar. Typically, Merrick Homes would be normally considered higher end, but in the last decade, they've started catering as well to not as high end. So they've toned it down a notch. So the similarities should be close. That's all for me for the moment.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. Senku, good morning. Do you have any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor?
I have a couple questions. As far as the full baths go, is that number supposed to include baths in the basement?
Yeah, it would be above grade or below grade, as long as the bathroom. So what we consider a full bath would be like if you had a tub shower combo, toilet and a sink, we would call that a full bath. It's a little bit confusing because some realtors will consider a full bath when you have a stand-up shower, toilet and sink, and we consider that a half bath with an extra shower. So it's just kind of split up differently. But on a valuation standpoint, there's not a very big difference between a full bath and a half bath and shower.
Okay, I would just like to point out then that my house has 2 full baths, and the basement bathroom just has a shower, a stand-up shower. It does not have a bathtub.
Okay.
Not
Perfect.
that that's a huge difference, but
Yeah, like I said, in our model, the valuation difference is the same. It's just how we break it up. So, but we will note that and make the change. Thank you.
okay. And I have a couple other questions. Could you tell me what the average increase the median increase in the assessed value of homes in St. Boniface region was in the last since the last assessment?
Yeah, over the last 3 years, and this I'm going by memory here. Keep in mind these are averages, and in the Act there is no cap on maximum increase or decrease. So we try not to focus on averages too much. We have properties that may have gone up 200%, properties that didn't go up at all. So I put very little to no weight on averages, but if I remember, it might be 9% or something over 3 years, so about 3% a year. Keep in mind that's an average. So if a property received renovations, or if a property like yours received a massive cut on the last assessment cycle, and maybe we made a mistake and had it too low, they would have seen a larger increase than some of their neighbors, which is I think what may have happened here.
And I believe 9-10% is probably the average for the entire city, based on.
We sent out a brochure with. It does vary. It varies actually wildly, and like I said, I really don't like those stats because.
Okay, Mr. Gauthier,
Yeah.
I think the question is asked and answered. Can we move on, Mr. Senku?
Sure.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Mr. Senku? Yeah.
Is this my only chance to ask questions?
For me, yes.
Okay, could you please let me know if there's anything outstanding about my property? I'm of the opinion it's at best average to below average. You mentioned the different builders in the neighborhood. In my opinion, it's at best average, below average to average for the neighborhood. And you let me know if you think there's anything outstanding about my property compared to the rest of the neighborhood.
So I'm pretty familiar with the neighborhood. I was actually looking in the area to buy a house at the time of the development. So,
Mr. Gauthier, excuse me, Mr. Senku, you know what? You're questioning the assessor on the evidence he presented, okay? So we're not going to wander off the details that have been presented so far.
Well, I'm trying to get to the point I'm trying to make is my assessment increased a huge amount compared to everybody else in the neighborhood,
okay.
I'm trying to find out why.
Yeah, okay. So we are here today dealing with this appeal and the information presented by the assessor in his brief, and then we're going to deal with the information presented by you. We are not going to look backwards at what a previous assessment was. We're only going to make decisions based on the evidence presented today here in the brief and in your information. If you want to bring that up in your presentation, I will advise you that we're not going to put much weight on it at all, but the board will consider everything you submit, but we're not going to compare assessments, okay, or older assessments or any older information. We're here to deal with what's been presented so far.
But all the city is doing is trying to compare things. Why am I not allowed to compare things?
Well, no, but they're presenting market evidence of homes that sold in the area. We're not comparing assessments at all. So what I would ask you to do is just question the assessor on the evidence in his brief presented so far. As I stated, you have your opportunity to present your case, and I'll tell you if you're getting offline when you do that, okay?
Okay.
So do you have any other questions of the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes, can I ask one more question? And if it's not allowed, please let me know.
Oh yeah, of course. Go ahead.
There's property, one of your comparables, comparable number 1. You have a sales price extremely close to the reference date of December 7th, 2020. You've got a sales price, which is market determined. You've got a time adjusted that, but then you've actually assessed it substantially less than the sales price and the time adjusted sales price. Why is that?
Okay, again, the assessor has not presented any assessment evidence here. He's presented sales of comparable properties. So we're not going to deal with that question at all. He doesn't have that assessment and it hasn't been presented, okay?
Okay.
Anything else on the assessor's evidence?
Well, it probably doesn't think like, no.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Okay. Diane, any questions of the assessor so far?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Val, any questions on the assessor? Pardon me.
Yes, I do have one on the comparable of number 5, the walkout basement. Approximately what's the difference in value to a normal finished basement? What would the walkout cost?
Well, cost and market value are two different things. It's actually not typical to see a walkout basement in this neighborhood at all. You typically see them on backing onto a park or onto a pond, but it involves a difference in landscaping and foundation work. Typically, I would adjust anywhere between $25,000 and $50,000. But the cost is a different story. It can vary depending on what's done, depending if it's a structural wood floor, depending how much landscaping has to be done to compensate. I was actually shocked to see that because I can't see how they pulled it off or why they would have done that. But and sometimes you see like a half walkout where it's kind of sloped one way, so you just have the door coming out. So it varies, but yeah, 25 to 50K I would adjust.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Val?
No, I'm good for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Gauthier, my question also comp number 5, that walkout basement. So normally we would see that in a lake, rear lake setting, right? Where the line is sloping towards the lake. Is this, I'm not sure if you know this, but so it's an excavation that's opened up to a walkout basement, probably landscaping excavated?
Yeah, I would lean towards putting little to no value, and you'll see that. I mean, I did say 25 to 50,000 K typically, but if you look at comp number 5 on the map and you see what it's backing onto,
yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So they've added a door. Maybe they put in, maybe they were thinking putting in an in-law suite later on or something, but it's not your walkout basement like you would see like in Bridgewater Forest on the lake or that kind of stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah, you can see by the sale price, it really didn't add too much value. So I would be cautious with that.
Okay, and my last question is regarding the location of the subject, or I guess the neighborhood. So we're at the north end of Taché, is that right, towards near the river?
Yeah, if you've ever been to the Voyageur Park, it's basically right beside it.
Okay. So we're between the railway line and the
river.
The Red River, okay. And then Voyageur Park is on the right side there on Rue Saint Joseph. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, I've got you. And all the comps are in that neighborhood also, right? Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, you can throw a baseball to most of them.
Yeah, okay. That's my only questions. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Thank you. Just bear with us 1 second while we pull up your presentation, right? Okay. Okay, Mr. Thank you. When you're ready, please.
Just a quick question. Has the board had a chance to review my submission in advance of this, or is it this the first time you're looking at it? Just wondering in what level of detail I should go through it.
No, we have not, but if you want to, I don't know if you do what you feel comfortable with. We haven't reviewed it yet. No, just now we're opening it.
Okay, I just reason I'm here today is I wanted to request a reduction in the value of my assessment. As some of the assessor mentioned, in Pointe-Hébert, North St. Boniface, there's approximately 30 new houses built in this neighborhood between 2014 and 2017, and there's still some older homes around here. Due to the fact that we all moved in at the same time, I have a pretty good knowledge of most of the other houses in the neighborhood. And the big reason for my concern here is that I just have, I've been hit with what I feel like is an excessive increase in the value of my property. It's gone up 27.6% from I guess the last period 3 years ago. I'm not here to deny that my house has not gone up in value, but the increase in the value just seems me to be very extreme, and I don't know how that's really possible. In this neighborhood, the assessor mentioned there's 3 builders, Merrick, Harf, and KDR. Half the homes were built by Merrick. Those homes are built to a higher standard. For example, those homes, standard for Merrick is to build homes with all wood interior finishing, like baseboards, door casings, window frames, that type of thing. My house does not have that. Some of the properties in this neighborhood, including reference properties, have basement suites in them. I don't believe any of them are actually being rented, but they were built that way. Specifically, comparable 4 has a basement suite. Comparable 5 has a basement suite. Like I said, I don't think they're actually being rented out, but they were designed that way. Now, as far as the neighborhood goes, so I see my house as being an average to below average house for the neighborhood. I'm not saying it's it is a very nice house, but in comparison to the neighborhood, it's I wouldn't definitely not call it an outstanding house at all. The landscaping is very basic. I've included a couple of pictures there. I've included a couple of pictures so you can see just proof that my finishing is not to the same level as some of the other houses. My landscaping, there's houses in this neighborhood with tens of thousands of dollars of landscaping. My landscaping is very basic. The tree in my front yard is dead, needs to be replaced. And in comparison to, and also of note, my house is 130 meters facing a rail line, where the houses on Messager Street are facing a park and a river with a much better view. Now, just in comparison to the other houses in the neighborhood, I just feel like for some reason, I've been singled out here in the neighborhood. My house is up 27.6%. The other houses in the neighborhood.
Okay, Mr. Senku, as I explained before, we're dealing with the market value of the property as of April 1st, 2021. We're not going to look at older assessments, okay?
I don't know how it's not relevant that my house has gone up substantially more than every other house in the neighborhood. There's houses in the neighborhood that are 2,500 square feet. My house is 1,800 square feet, and my house went up by value in the same amount in the last 3 years. I don't know how that's possible or reasonable.
Again, we're dealing with the evidence presented here today, sir.
I'm presenting evidence.
Yes, but we're not going to put any weight on it. I can't be any blunter than that. The assessor has presented evidence as of April 1st, 2021, presenting market evidence of similar homes in directly near neighborhood. And that's what we're dealing with today. I would like
to speak to the homes in my neighborhood then, please. The other homes on that are direct comparables.
What I'd like you to do is explain to us why you think the assessment is wrong, effective April 1st, 2021.
Comparable to the other houses in the neighborhood, my house is average to below average for the reasons I've explained, and I don't believe it's worth $712,000. At that 3 year, at April 1st, 2021, there's no way it was worth $712,000. The house that sold, comparable one, it was on the market for months and months and months, and it was sold to a couple that came from Seattle, where house prices are triple what they are here. So it looked like a bargain to them. The other houses are Merrick homes. Other houses in the neighborhood have vaulted ceilings, like comparable 4 has a huge footprint. It has because of vaulting. It's on the biggest lot on the street. It's almost covered the whole lot because it's got significant vaulting of the ceilings. So the footprint is much larger for the same square footage, and it's got a massive garage in the back. Comparable 2, that's also a Merrick home built to a higher standard. Comparable comparable 5 is a Merrick home built to a higher standard. It's also got a large footprint due to significant vaulting. My house has no vaulting. It's, all the ceilings are the same height throughout. Comparable number 3 is Looks on the River. It was built by a chef. It's got a professional kitchen. Anyways, I guess I'll just leave it at that. I feel like I've been over-assessed. I feel like a more reasonable assessment for my property would be $666,000, which is based on the average increase in the rest of the houses in the neighborhood were given for the same period. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, could I confirm that's 660,000?
666 is what I'm asking for, I think it's reasonable.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Mr. Gauthier, any questions of the appellant?
I just had one question. Was just obviously he's expressed he doesn't like my comparables, but does Mr. Sinque, do you have any comparable sales that are nearby that would that you could share with us today that would basically indicate that or support your value proposition of 666,000?
I haven't prepared any, no.
Anything else?
That's all for me, thank you.
Thank you. Val, any questions of the appellant?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. And I won't ask any questions, Mr. Thank you. Okay.
Could I point out one more thing?
Of course.
Just on exhibits, if you're curious on Exhibit C, I've noted which houses were built by which builder.
Okay.
Just in case you're curious to review that.
Okay. All right. Mr. Thank you. Any requirement for a summary?
Sorry, would like to make a final statement. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to point out that I don't feel like, my house is a nice house. I'm not trying to say there's issues with it or it's not a nice house, but it is by no means an outstanding house in relation to the neighborhood. That's all I'd like to say.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gauthier, any comments?
No need to summarize. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you for appearing, Mr. Thank you. And you will hear from us as soon as possible with our decision based on the evidence presented today. That concludes 167 Hébert Street. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
If you guys can hear me, I appear to have frozen. So
yeah, we can hear you.
I guess we'll keep going and pray.
All right. Next property on the docket is item number 8, and that would be file 22-434, 52 Worthington Avenue. And we've got we're dealing with a 2023 realty assessment. And I know there's a request for an increase here. And if just bear with us, we'll get to that brief submitted, Mr. Gauthier.
We do not have the applicant present currently.
Okay. So nobody's present.
Correct.
Any contact at all, Mr. Gauthier?
I was unable to contact the homeowner.
Okay.
I just had contact via a letter that they sent in, which is the same letter submitted as evidence.
Okay, and Mr. Lund, did the appellant contact you to say they would be here, or?
They did not register, no.
Oh. Okay, so in that case, file number 22-434, 52 Worthington Avenue will be moved to the end of the docket, and we'll deal with it at a later time in this hearing. So the next property on the docket is item number 9, file number 22-625. That is 37 Millfield Drive, and we're dealing with a 2023 realty assessment.
The applicant is also not present for that item.
Oh, okay. Mr. Goche, any contact at all?
No, but as you'll see in my brief, I did an exterior inspection on it, that's all.
Okay. And Mr. Lunn, any contact at all? Any knowledge of the appellant?
They did not register.
Okay. So for item number 8, 37 Millfield Road, file number 22-65, we will also move that property to the end of the docket to be dealt with later. Moving on, we are moving to item 15, file number 22-1037, 260 Victoria Crescent. And Mr. Lund, is that property owners present at the hearing? Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Their agent is present.
Okay, so bear with us 1 minute while we find the brief and the information presented for 260 Victoria Crescent.
I'm wondering, you guys can still hear me, right? I'm still frozen. My video.
Yeah, you're
okay. We'll keep rolling with this, I guess. But
okay.
We can take a quick recess if you want to try and troubleshoot your video.
Yeah, so I guess I would log out and try to log back in.
Sure.
Okay, we shall recess the hearing to try and iron out this technical problem. We'll be back as soon as possible. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lund. I'll now call the hearing back to order. Let's see, we're dealing with item number 15, 260 Victoria Crescent. Does everybody have, first of all, Stephen, sorry, would you swear in the applicant?
Applicant, please stand, please state your full name.
Sarah Cates.
You affirm that the evidence is about to give at this hearing is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, Ms. Gates. So we're dealing with 260 Victoria Crescent, file number 22-1037. We're dealing with a 2023 realty assessment. And Mr. Goche, could you read the, my understanding there's a preliminary issue that we have to deal with on this property. Could you, apparently Ms. Cates informed us. So could you read the property for the record, and then we'll deal with that preliminary issue?
Okay, the roll number is 0800 2801 000. Do you want me to read all the specs on the subject?
Just the file number and everything.
Okay, it's commonly known as 260 Victoria Crescent. The file number, you guys have it there. File number is 22-1037.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Cates, possibly Mr. Goche isn't aware of this, but what is the preliminary issue we're dealing with, please?
So just on the assessor's brief, on the first page and the final page, he makes reference to the property being used as an Airbnb and gives the price there.
Okay, in that case, we will have the assessor present his brief so we can deal with that issue, okay? Mr. Goche, please proceed.
Okay, it's commonly known as 260 Victoria Crescent. It is a one-story single-family home built in 1973. We have an effective age of 1993 on the property. The living area is 1,984 square feet. We have that it has a part basement with no basement finish, 1 full bath, 2 half baths, and 1 extra shower, central air conditioning, 1 fireplace, no attached or detached garages, no pools, and we do have that it has a sunroom. The land is 20,100 square feet. It is not serviced by sanitary sewer, and it is on the Red River. We have the 2023 assessed value at $895,000, and my recommendation is to maintain that value. Did you want to proceed with the comparables?
Yes, please. Yeah, present your whole brief.
Okay. So I have 3 comparables. The first one is 554 Victoria Grove. It is in the same neighborhood. You know what? I'll just do the ranges again. So of the 3 comparables, 2 of them are in the Victoria Crescent, and one of them is actually across the river at Crescent Park, which is a similar type neighborhood. They're all 1-story homes, single-family dwellings. The year built ranges from 1953 to 2000. The effective age varies between 1960 and 2006. The square footage range I have here between 2149 square feet and a high of 2474 square feet. They all have full basements. Comparable 3 had also a part basement area, so probably an addition on a crawl space there. All 3 of the comparables have basement finish. The baths, full baths vary between 1 and 3. Half baths vary between 0 and 3. Showers vary between 1 and 2. They all have central air conditioning except comparable number 3. Fireplaces range between 2 and 3. They all have either a multiple attached or detached garage. No pools, and only comparable number 2 has a sunroom. The land size varies between 24,198 square feet and 32,319 square feet. Comparable number 2 and 3 are on the river. Comparable 1 is not. All the sales took place in our reference period. Sales prices vary between $940,000 and $1.225 million. Prices per square foot vary between $396 a square foot and $570 a square foot. Time adjusted sales prices vary between $947,000 and $1.26 mil. Time adjusted sale prices vary between $399 a square foot to $586 a square foot. Like I said, my recommendation is to maintain the assessed value of $895,000 as supported by the comparables. I would like you to note that comparable number 2 was substantially renovated, and a $250,000 negative adjustment is warranted to compensate for that high level of renovation. The subject property was designed by Gustavo Uriel da Rosa, a world-renowned architect who has won many prestigious awards. This dwelling is far superior in design and quality than any of the comparable sales and is considered an architectural masterpiece. The property is currently owned by a company using it as a high-end Airbnb at $528 per night. It appears to be well maintained and updated over the years. And I do want to point out that the Act states that it is current condition. So to display the current condition, I did use pictures that were published of its current state. That's it for my brief.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So let's deal with the preliminary issue here. Ms. Ketz, when you're ready, please tell us what the issue is.
So essentially, his brief is using market information regarding the Airbnb price, and that would be post-reference information. So, I mean, the pictures are fine because they speak to the physical condition, but on the page 1 of his brief, where it says the property is currently owned, I ask that statement up until the end of the parentheses be disregarded, as well as on the final page, I ask that as well be disregarded.
Okay, so that would be the last page is the assessor's brief with an advertisement for the by air cover, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And you're stating that this is post-reference information, okay. Mr. Goche, any response to that request by the applicant's agent?
I mean, I'm sure we can remove it. I don't think it's that relevant anyways, and I agree to that.
Okay. Okay, based on the information presented, we're gonna ask for a recess, and the panel's going to discuss this preliminary issue, and you'll be called in when we made our decision, okay, regarding the removal of this information. Can we please recess, Stephen? Thank you, Stephen. I will now call the hearing back to order. All right, the panel has considered the request by Ms. Cates to delete the information regarding the Airbnb rental advertising as post-reference. The panel accepts that, so the panel will ignore any information presented by the assessor regarding the Airbnb advertisements and information. Okay. Ms. Cates, if you just, Mr. Boche, you are finished, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Ms. Cates, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented so far?
Yes, thank you. So regarding the site influences of the subject on page 1 of your brief, would you agree that having no sewer services and therefore relying on a septic tank would be a value negative compared to a fully serviced property?
So how assessment and taxation deals with that is we provide a credit on people's that have no sewer or water services, a credit on their property tax bill to compensate them for that. My experience with higher end homes, you see this quite often in the Wilkes kind of area, is that it oddly enough has little impact on market value. I feel that people who spend that kind of money on a home, the added expense to pump out is not typically something that would deter them from a property like that. So I wish I had more market data to confirm that, but that's just kind of been my experience. So yeah, to answer your question, I don't think that something on Victoria Crescent would, without sewer, would deter someone from buying it or just slaughter the market value of that property.
Okay, but we're not saying it would deter someone from buying, but it would be considered a value negative, correct? If you're giving them a credit and you're acknowledging there is a cost to establish.
I mean, I would say it depends on the buyer, right? I mean, when you're spending that type of money on a home, the added expense might just be something that's not a huge deal. So maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't have market evidence to speak to put a value on that and say that it impacts the value this much. I wish I did. I mean, in this area, we might get 1 or 2 sales per year. And they're so different. To say that the market value is impacted, I can't speak to that. I can't tell you. I can't give you a number. So if you believe that, that's fine. I'm not sure. I believe it without data. I don't have data saying it negatively impacts or that it doesn't. So unfortunately, I wish I did, but I don't.
You're saying you don't have data, so the city doesn't collect data on service land versus non-service land or partially serviced land?
Well, when you say data, I mean like what I would look for in this neighborhood would be to compare sales of similar homes. Like the only way you could actually peg a number to that would be a paired sales analysis, and like good luck with that. You know, like you're not going to have enough sales data to be able to extrapolate that it. So I'm not saying it doesn't impact the value. It may to one buyer, it may not to another. But I don't have a value to give you to tell you that, you know, these 2 parcels are identical. They sold at the same time and one was serviced and one wasn't. And this was the difference in market value. I wish I did. Then I can answer your question, but I don't have that data. So I'm not going to make it up. I don't know. That's the short answer. Short answer is I don't know.
Okay. So regarding parking on page 1, would you agree that having no garage would be a value negative in a market perspective compared to properties with garages?
I would definitely agree to that. Keep in mind that the subject property has many features that the other properties don't, including like you can drive underneath the home and park. I mean, I haven't measured it, but it looks like you could park several cars underneath, sheltered, before you take your elevator to go to the main floor, right? So, yeah, that normally does impact not having a garage, but in this particular circumstances, maybe less than in most circumstances.
But would you agree that being able to have some coverage from the improvements is not the same as having a fully sheltered garage?
Well, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
So from the images you show on page 3, we can see the subject has a flat roof. Would you agree that a flat roof is not as conducive to handling heavy snowfall and associated moisture conditions as a pitched roof would be?
I don't know, you could ask the world-renowned architect who built it, but when I look at that and I see the steel beam construction and the piles and the way that it's built and the history behind that home, I don't think any corners were cut. And I think the flat roof can handle everything you would throw at it. That would be my guess.
But I'm not questioning the design, but the function. So do you agree that a flat roof is not as conducive to allowing the drainage from the snow and moisture as a pitched roof would be?
Not at all, actually. That's why commercial buildings that are more robust use flat roofs. Absolutely not. The only difference between a flat roof and a pitched roof, maybe on a residential home, is come time to replace it, could be more expensive. Because now you're getting a commercial roofing crew out there. It's not just a shingle job. But other than that, done properly, I would say it's a higher standard and can handle heavier loads, especially when the superstructure is built out of steel frame construction. It's all steel beam and on piles, you can see in the pictures. I think that building could handle more snow than just about any residential home in the area, that's for sure.
Okay, going back to page 1, would you agree that given the unique nature of the subject property, given that it's architectural and design, that the market would be more limited or niche than it would be for, let's say, a standard bungalow in the same area?
Well, what we saw in our last cycle was architecturally designed homes, high-end homes, actually appreciated and sold quicker, and their gains were higher than your normal average home. So in a slow downtrending market where the upper end of the market's getting hurt, I would agree with you. In our reference period, I would disagree with that. So I would say it's market dependent, but in this particular cycle, those type of homes went like hotcakes. So didn't sit on the market very long.
Okay, so moving to your sales comps. So comp 2 at 53 Salmi Drive. So you note that there is a 2017 reno, and you do comment that it was substantial reno. But to clarify, are you aware that the nature of the renovation was to completely gut and redesign the property?
Yeah, I was pretty clear about that in my brief. That's why I put 2017 reno. Like it's received a substantial upgrade. So I'm not denying that. I wish I had better comps. Well, this is the type of house where the comparables are very difficult to find. It's a very specific neighborhood. So, had no choice but to use it. I didn't find anything better. So I would rather adjust a similar home that's been renovated downwards for. Keep in mind, the subject has been, if you look at the pictures of the subject, it's been upgraded over the years and well maintained. So it's not, you're not comparing a gut job to a dated home that's a gut job or anything like that, right? So yeah, there's a value difference, and I'm suggesting a $250,000 value difference.
Okay, and so the prices per square foot of $570 a square foot and $586 a square foot for comp 2, so those are unadjusted based on the $250,000 negative adjustment you were speaking of, correct?
That would be correct.
And so comp 2 and comp 3, so both have greater land areas, both have sewer services. Have you considered adjustments for these factors as well?
Well, there again, I don't really have market data. When it comes to land, to suggest that a 30,000 square foot lot over a 20,000 square foot lot would have a dramatic price increase. Land is more about what you can do with it and less about the size, right? So a lot of times you'll find houses that are similar utility where there's excess land and it doesn't really impact the value that much. Particularly on river properties, this is difficult. And I don't have a number to peg and say, like, you should adjust this much because it's slightly different. I mean, with river properties, erosion can be an issue. Whether it's treed or not, the view, there's a lot of different factors at play. So I'm not really comfortable necessarily making an adjustment for that. I would say if the utility is similar, then I would shy away from doing an adjustment unless I had pretty clear market data. In this case, I don't. So.
Okay, that concludes my questions for this property.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Diane, any questions of the assessor?
I do not.
Thank you. Val, any questions of the assessor?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, Mr. Gauthier, pardon me. I'm going to go to your page. The photos of the subject property on the interior.
Okay.
When were these taken?
Well, these were photos that were representing current condition on the Airbnb website.
So that's the current physical condition. Any history of inspection on this property that you have available to you?
No, I did not inspect the property.
Has anybody else, any notes from a previous inspection available to you?
Have a quick look. Just quickly scanning the notes we have on file, I don't see, keep in mind, like, these notes only go back to early 2000s, so they may have been inspected many, many years ago, but I don't see anything. I didn't feel the need to inspect it given the information I had at hand.
Fair enough. My next question is any notes or any information on permits taken out for, it looks like it's been modernized inside with kitchen cabinets and that kind of thing. Any building permits taken out?
I didn't note any recent permits. Keep in mind, you don't really need permits if you're to change your kitchen cabinetry with the plumbing. And so a lot of times there's updates done. It looks updated to me over the years and well maintained, but I don't have any substantial permit information to share.
Yeah, okay. So no information on how old that glazing is, for instance. This house is
a lot of windows. A lot of windows.
The full perimeter is glazed, right? Yeah. So, okay. All right. And so it's built, let's call it on stilts, off ground, off grade. There's an elevator, as you noted in the picture. Possible parking underneath the subject. I'm looking at concrete pads here. I'm not sure if those are patio parking spots, but I guess the whole area underneath is concrete slab, on the main floor. And the access to this property is, I think it's your third picture. Would that be from that right side coming in?
Yeah, from what I can tell, you kind of park your car underneath, take the elevator up, but then I'm sure there's a set of staircases because there's kind of a porch off the back, but I don't actually see it here.
Okay.
But imagine concrete pad, piles, metal posts, steel beam around, like that's your frame and your superstructure. And like Vera mentioned, flat roof, and then what happens with the steel beams is it gives you the opportunity to be like glazed all around. So yeah, it's an interesting home to say the least.
And have you any information on whether this house was ever listed for sale?
There's a post-reference sale that I can't discuss 1 month after our reference date.
Fair enough. Thanks. I appreciate that. Okay. That is all my questions. And Ms. Cates, bear with us 1 second. We're going to get to your brief today.
Okay.
And the first page I see is our MLS listings. Is that right, Ms. Cates?
So there's 2 documents. If you could start on the other PDF document, it should be called this BOR brief.
Oh yeah, there we are. Okay. I got it now. Okay. And then we'll get back to those market evidence. Okay. And Diane, Val, do you have that document?
Yes.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Cates, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. So if you could start on page 2, we have a summary of some of the property details, as well as our requested assessment of $794,000. That translates to $400 a square foot. So as you'll see from the picture on page 2, you'll see that there's a bottom kind of rectangular portion beneath the actual house. So you walk in through that bottom portion. It's a small area, about 200 square feet. There is a half bath down there, and then you go up a staircase. Not clear on whether the elevator is currently functional or operational, but there is a staircase there. So then once you get up to the top living area, that is 1,984 square feet. There are 2 bedrooms up there, as well as a full bath and 2 half baths. So what you'll also see for the house that it does have the flat roof, which also has different skylights located throughout the various rooms. So I would suggest that that is not as conducive to handling the snowfall, and especially with skylights located in there, can be prone to leaking. If you turn to page 3, you'll see some photos of the rear side of the property. So on the bottom photo, you'll see that the improvements do offer some coverage for parking, but there is no garage, so there's no completely sheltered space from the elements. And turning to look at the actual site, we note that there is no sewer services, and there would be a cost of establishing services to that. So I've included in my appendix an estimate of those costs from a 2020 Altus cost guide, which we can look at after the report. As well, what I've tried to capture here is the extreme elevation of the site that you see here. So during my visit on the property, you couldn't even access the yard just walking up it. Like, it's an extreme elevation here. So you're really not getting the full benefits of having the river view, because you really can't access the whole yard really easily. So if you turn to page 4, we've included just an aerial view of the site, so you can just get a better sense of where it's located within the neighborhood. And if you turn to page 5, we've included a Google Map view so that just you could see where it's located within the city. So if you turn to page 8, it's just an overview of our direct sales comparison approach. So we've used 3 comps. I note that during the analysis, we did put greater weight on comparable 2, which is 23 Salmi Drive, as it was just the best objective match to the subject out of the comps. So if you turn to page 9, you could see our list of comps and how they compare to the subject. So as you'll see, we have a time-adjusted sale price range of $322 to $398 a square foot. If you look at comp 2, you'll see that it is objectively more similar to the subject in terms of key characteristics of building age, size, as well as looking at the site characteristics, such as also having a large lot and also being on the river. We do acknowledge that the subject is modernized to a higher standard than comp 2, which is why our requested value reflects that. I would also acknowledge for comp 2 that it is an older sale, so I have estimated the time adjustment using the market region increase of 9%, since the time adjustments for 2018 sales aren't available in the sales book. And if you look also at comp 1 and comp 3, these comps are still pretty close matches to the subject, though given how unique the subject is, you can't really find perfect matches, but comp 1 and 3 are useful in that they are closer to the subject's overall condition in terms of their level of kind of renovation and upgrades. So you'll see we've included a bottom chart kind of summarizing these comps. So the median sale price per square foot is $335, and the median time adjusted sale price is $365. We've requested for the subject a value of $400 a square foot. So that would be, so if you turn to page 10, you'll see that we've requested a reduction from $895,000 to $794,000. And if you turn to page 11, that's the start of the appendix. So what we've included is I've just included the assessment summary page, which shows the market region average increase of 9%, supporting the time adjustment. If you turn to page 13, you'll see just an excerpt from the Altus cost guide. And if you look at the bottom paragraph, you will see the estimate of costs for establishing services to the property. And then also for the board's reference on that separate MLS document, I've just included the sales listings of the comps that were used, but just with redacted, like identifying information on there. So that concludes my presentation of 260 Victoria.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Goche, any questions of the applicant's evidence presented?
I do. Mrs. Cates, you say that 23 Salmi Drive is the best comparable. I drove by it on July 29th, and I was just reading the realtor remarks on the listing that you provided, and I see that it was sold. Well, I see that it was sold vacant, and it was a power of attorney sale here. Basically, it's advertised as a tear down. And I just want to know what you would adjust, given that it's being advertised for a lot, that it's dated and dysfunctional in its layout. How much you would adjust this comparable to bring it up to snuff with the subject property.
So essentially with the comparable, I looked at the objective characteristics of it and compared it to the subject. I felt it was a pretty close match. I did look at the pictures from the listing, and I do acknowledge that the subject is upgraded and modernized to a higher standard. You'll see that the sale price of this one was $335 with an adjustment in the $360 range. We're asking for $400. So we are definitely bringing that into the analysis in terms of our request. So that has been factored in.
The other question I had was, seeing as the subject was built in 1973 and that since then no one has added sewer to the cost that you're suggesting, why do you think it's feasible at this point for somebody to go ahead and spend that kind of money to add sewer services, not just continue to operate the home without sanitary services? I'm
not necessarily saying that someone has to add sewer services. the point that I'm making is simply that we have to consider what the market would expect of a home. And a home that's being marketed as luxury, a lot of people would expect sewer services, especially in the type of area that this house is in. So it's simply just to make the point that those costs would have to be acknowledged, because sewer services are somewhat of an expectation within the city of Winnipeg. If you're within a rural location, I think septic tanks are a lot more commonly used, of course, but within the city of Winnipeg, sewer services are not considered a luxury. And that's something that we just have to factor in. So that would be my answer.
Okay. The other question I have was 37 Todd. I recently added a house on Todd, and one of the things that I noticed was, well, the comparable is not on the river. So one of my questions is, how much would you adjust for these comparables you selected that are not on the river for their location? And the second question I have is, considering the principle of regression, where the houses around you can devalue, anyone that's walked on Victoria Crescent and then goes on to Todd Crescent will see dramatically different, although they're close, they're close to each other geographically. There's houses that are worth $400,000 across the street. So there's basically the principle of regression. Basically, your neighbor's house is bringing your value down. How much would you adjust for the river lot, and how much would you adjust for the principle of regression on 37 Todd, where the neighboring homes are not anywhere near the proper caliber of a street like Victoria?
So for 37 Todd, you'll see again, the sale price is $294 a square foot. The time adjusted price is $322 a square foot. We have added a premium to the subject in terms of what we're requesting. I acknowledge that one's not on the river. I acknowledge it's a smaller lot. But the idea that an adjustment has to be made because they're not on the exact same street, we've selected all of the same type of homes, all within the same neighborhood. The subject is unique. It's not going to have exact matches. We have to take the best matches available. So yes, we have applied a premium. In terms of comp one, we've not applied a premium because this house is newer, the living area is larger, it has a fully finished basement. Recall that the subject has a basement area of 200 square feet. So, I mean, comp one also has a double attached garage, so you would have to make a few adjustments on that one. So you can't just single out one adjustment, but we have acknowledged where the subject is superior, and that is reflected in our request value.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Excuse me. Val, any questions of the applicant's evidence?
I just want to know how much value was put on the fact in your mind that with it being designed by a world-renowned architect, like what would you say the value would be for the subject property in comparison to the other comparables that you used?
So we have taken the design into account in terms of the fact that for a 70s house with a 90s upgrade, it was built to a modern standard for its time. So we have taken that into account. In terms of the comps, you'll see that 37 Todd also has a unique look to it. So in terms of the fact that it's architectural, we have acknowledged that in terms of our requested value, and as well the fact that it was just built to a more modern standard for its time.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all.
Thanks, Val. Diane, any questions of the applicant?
All my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Cates, I'm going to ask a question on, bear with me, sorry, page 9 of your comparable, your comparables analysis, I guess, the adjustments made. Comp number 2 at 23 Salme Drive. If I understand it, you're saying that the time adjustment you made on that sale for between April of 2018 and April of 2021 is only approximately $50,000. Is that correct for a river lot?
So essentially, for that one, I didn't have a city time adjustment available. So what I defaulted to was looking at the market region increase. So the market region increase stated from April 118 to April 121 for that region was 9%. So
okay.
So I defaulted to that.
So you took the average market increase in that in St. Vital, that neighborhood, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. In your professional opinion, a riverfront property, Red River adjacent property, would 9% be accurate in your opinion for that 3-year term?
In my opinion,
Increase.
I would have preferred to have something in the sales books to use, but just given lack thereof, yes, that would be my opinion that is appropriate for that sale.
Okay. And Mr. Gauthier asked you a question that this, correct me if I'm wrong, this 23 Sawmill Drive was a tear down, is that right? Mr.
I would advise that the board reads the realtor remarks in the listing, because that's the impression I get. I haven't seen the property. I drove by it on the 29th, and from the front, it looks rough.
Okay.
And the pictures and the write-up basically suggest here's a lot to build on, and it was a distress sale.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure if you analyzed that MLS listing, Ms. Cates, but would you agree with that assessment?
I wouldn't agree that it's a tear down. I would agree that the subject is in better condition.
Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. And for your estimated market value I believe you're asking for $794,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's based on, sorry, I'm scrolling back and forth here. Here we are. Let's see. You're using $400 a square foot. Is that right?
That's correct.
On the subject property, right? Sorry, I can't find it here. There we are. Okay. Yeah. Okay. $400 a square foot. All right. Okay. All right. That is all my questions. Excuse me. Mr. Gauthier, any requirement for summary?
I think I'm fine. No summary needed.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cates, any requirement?
I'm also good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that concludes 260 Victoria Crescent. Thank you for appearing, Ms. Cates, and we'll let you know as soon as possible our decision. Okay, thanks again. Okay, sorry. Last item on the docket is item number 17, file number 22835, and that is 39 Forest Creek Road. And Stephen, is there an applicant present? Okay. Stephen, the applicant has been sworn in, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Okay. Eric, we're dealing with 39 Forest Creek Road and a 2023 realty assessment appeal. When you are ready, please.
The subject property is poll number 030915611010, commonly known as 39 Forest Creek Road. It's located in the neighborhood of Bridgewater Forest. It's a one-story single-family home built in 2012, 1,805 square feet. It has a full basement, no basement finishing. We have 2 full baths, no half baths, and an extra shower. We have central air conditioning, 1 fireplace, a multiple attached garage, no detached garage, no pools, no sunrooms. It's located on a lot that is 7,347 square feet in size, and it backs onto a park. The 2023 assessment value of $644, I'm asking that we maintain that value. I will go through the 4 comparables that I'm presenting today. Note that 3 of the 4 are the same builder as the builder who built the subject, Geno's Homes. So they're all located in Bridgewater Forest or Bridgewater Lakes. All one-story homes, single-family dwellings, built between 2010 and 2013. So obviously we don't have any effective age on any of them. The square footage ranges on the low side of 1607 to the high side at 1929 square feet. They all have full basements. Comparable number 2 and number 4 have basement finishing. As far as full baths, it varies between 1 and 3. Half baths vary between 0 and 2. Extra showers vary between 0 and 2. They all have central air conditioning. They all have 1 fireplace. They all have a multiple attached garage. None of them have detached garages, pools, or sunrooms. Land is a pretty tight range at a low end of 6,075 square feet to a high end of 6,700 square feet. Note that comparable number 1 and comparable number 2 also back onto a park. Comparable number 3 backs onto a public, I guess it still shows walkway, so it might have a walkway on the side of it actually. Comparable number 4 is unique as it backs what appears to be a park, but it's actually vacant land owned by, from what I could tell, owned by Manitoba Housing Corporation. So it's probably going to be developed in the future, would be my guess. All the sales took place in our reference period. The sale prices range between $580,000 on the low end to $715,000 at the high end. The sales prices per square feet vary between the low end $319 or $320 if we're rounding to $412. Time adjusted sale prices range between $629,000 or called $630,000 to $744,000. Time adjusted sale prices per square foot, the range there is $332 per square foot to $412 per square foot. And like I said before, I'm requesting to maintain the assessed value of $645,000, supported by the comparable sales. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Good morning, sir. Do you have any questions on the assessor's evidence presented so far?
I do. For 239 Oak Lawn, is that one? Sorry, that house was sold prior to April 1st, 2021.
Well, I have the 19th of March 2021. So typically, there's 2 different dates we can use. Typically, we get our information from land titles, which would be the registration date. So that's the date when you buy a new home that the lawyer gives you the keys and you take possession. When it comes to market value, we can use the actual sale date. So it's one or the other in this case, registration or sales date.
So the sale date was before the April 1st?
I'd have to pull it up and check. But it's either the sales date, and what I'm telling you is that either or is good to go. So
Okay,
whether it's registration or sales date, it's not going to make a big difference, and either or we can use.
Okay, because it doesn't show up in the sales data book.
Yeah, if it doesn't show up in the sales data book, it's most likely because the hand was shaken on the 19th of March 2021 to make that deal. And by definition of market value, it's when the hand is shaken, not when the keys are transferred.
Okay, and the same with the 22 prominence point, etc. That one also doesn't show up in the sales data book.
22 prominence point. Yeah, I actually pick my sales on MLS, so I'm using the information that's provided there.
Okay, but all the information on the letters and etc. in the assessment says that it has to be within that time period on the sales book.
So any sales that are not in our sales book can be used. There's nothing in the act that says that we can't. We do disqualify certain sales. Sometimes we have a cutoff in our system. Like, for example, 22 prominence point, the registration date, August 1st, 2018. Maybe the hands were shaken slightly before that. So typically, I don't really use sales that are older than that, but there's nothing in the act that says I can't use a 2017 or even a 2016 sale for that matter. So we can use older sales, and so can you. But you know, it is appropriate to time adjust them to bring them to our reference date. But there's nothing in the act anywhere that says that if a sale's not in our sales book, we just finished a hearing with a sale, discussing a sale where it wasn't in our sales book. So there's various reasons why they might get excluded.
Okay. But they have to be sold before April 1st.
The meaning of
a handshake is not a contract.
No, technically, you could use a 2015 sale, and I have for vacant land in certain cases. What I'm telling you, there's no minimum. There is a cutoff for maximum date. So I'll be clear. April 1st,
maximum date, or do you mean like a past date? Like maximum means a higher value to me.
Yeah, you could present a 2010 sale here today if you'd like. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing
but you couldn't,
minimum.
But you couldn't prevent a 2022 sale though.
Correct. Now you're
okay, so the sale has to be after April 1st, 2021.
Yeah, I can't be more clear with this. Either people shook their hand and signed the contract before April 1st, 2021, or the lawyer gave them a key on that date. Anything after that, no go.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Okay. Well, a handshake and giving key is not the same as signing the contract.
A signed, sealed, delivered contract.
Okay, so so the assessor has explained that he's only using sales or accepting sales prior to April 1st, 2021, and we'll consider it asked and answered. Okay. Any other questions?
The other question is why was not 103 Bridgeland Drive included in the assessment when?
Okay, sir, he has not presented that. You can present that in your evidence, but we're dealing with what the assessor presented so far.
Okay.
Thank you.
Noted. Yep.
Anything else on the assessor's evidence presented so far?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. Val, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
I have none, thanks.
Okay. And my only question, Mr. Gauthier, is comp number 4, vacant land, the land influences. So the vacant land owned, so the house is constructed next to vacant land, but you're saying it's next to Manitoba Housing owned vacant land? Is that the comment there?
Correct.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going to be planned in the future there, but it looks like a park for now.
Okay. Thank you. All right, that's all my questions. Okay. Now, the applicant, just bear with us 1 second before you proceed, and we'll pull up your brief that's being submitted to the board. Okay, sir, when you're ready.
Okay. What I submitted was based on the city of Winnipeg comparables that were given to me, and only 23 Highland Creek and 99 Lake Bend show up in the assessor's comparables. I'm just wondering why the city of Winnipeg initially used 27 Autumn View and 103 Bridgeland, and not this time.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to make a comment here on your presentation. You're presenting assessed values, which we're not going to put any weight on, okay? We're not.
No, these are sold values.
Sorry. You're saying assessed value at, you mean the selling price?
No, sorry. The property at 27 Autumn View and 103 Bridgeland was provided by the city of Winnipeg as a comparable property.
Sorry, just for clarification in your document, and I'll start with property A, 23 Highland Creek. You're saying this footage, then the assessed value of 663,000. Is that assessed value or is that a selling price?
That's the assessed value.
Okay, we're not going to deal with assessed values at all. We're going to ignore that information.
Agreed. That was just a note that I just happened to put in there. It was
okay. I'm just asking for clarification, okay? Because I thought you were dealing with assessed value. Okay, I'm sorry. Proceed. Yeah, if you can proceed, please.
Okay. So the city of Winnipeg comparable property B, 27 Autumn View, was provided by the city of Winnipeg as a comparable, but yet it was not used in this in the assessor's comparables. I'm curious to know why.
Okay. I assume you're saying that you did a preview program and looked at comparables provided at that time?
No, that was provided by the city of Winnipeg.
Okay. Well, what we're dealing with is what the assessor presented so far. If you want to bring up that evidence as your own, that's fine. The assessor hasn't presented it, so we're not going to deal with that question, okay?
Okay, sorry, I just didn't quite understand what you said.
The assessor did not provide that evidence in his brief, so we're not going to deal with that as a question. You can bring it up as a comparable in your evidence if you wish.
And I did in my report, yes.
Okay, all right. But yeah, okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so it's in the report that I provided to the board, is that the city of Winnipeg provided that comparable. I did not pick that, and it's a sale value or a property that's sold within the time period. And so that one was used by the city as a comparable, but yet it was not used this time. And the same with 103 Bridgeland Drive South. That was provided by the city. That was not picked by myself.
Okay, just for clarification, when you say provided by the city, you mean it was in the sales books that you went online to?
No. It was when I go into my profile on my property. It says these are the comparable properties, and those are the ones that are provided by the city.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, please.
So, anyways, those are comparable values. Sorry, comparable properties provided by the city, and two of them don't show up on the assessor's property, and it seems like the assessor handpicked specific properties, ignoring these other two that are comparable.
Okay.
So that's my point. And as far as the comparable of 239 Oak Lawn, that is not even close to being a comparable house. I mean, the price difference shows that. I mean, the only thing it really has in common is it's a single story. That's about it.
Okay.
I mean, I was not given this information that the 239 Oak Lawn and 22 Providence Point was going to be used in the comparison up until yesterday. So I did not have a chance to provide any I don't want to say rebuttal against it about any documentation or details regarding those properties.
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe I would comment that the your application and any emphasizes that any questions can be discussed with the assessor prior to the hearing. So it does say that you have an opportunity to discuss the information presented at the board. But anyway, okay.
In that regard, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but in that regards, it was very difficult to get in touch with the assessor.
Okay.
I was not aware of who the assessor was, and the person that I thought was supposed to be the assessor did not get back to me for many weeks. And it wasn't up until earlier this week that I was informed of who the assessor was and contact information with the assessor. So.
All right. Yeah, they're very busy, I guess. Okay, so provide. I think what you're trying to do here is provide evidence of other sales that support your argument that the property is overassessed. Is that am I putting?
That is correct.
Okay.
The assessed value is high. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, then go ahead, please.
Well, the other properties that I've listed, including the ones that I was under the impression that the city of Winnipeg was using for comparisons, are all somewhat similar, etc. But I mean, I have no deck, I have no finished basement, and I have no landscaping, so it's very difficult to compare mine against those. But I did provide information in terms of assessed values of those values, especially with property A. So my calculations turn out to be that it's less than the 645.
Okay. And then I see you have an appendix B here.
Correct. I was just showing the comparable landscaping to my property. It's just plain. I mean, like, I have no landscaping at all. Absolutely none. Just grass. That's it.
Okay.
I have no deck, and I also have a less desirable. My property is a 2-bedroom, so it's less desirable than the 3-bedroom properties.
Okay. And you've provided an estimate of to install the landscaping, is that right?
For comparable property A, that's correct.
Yeah.
The estimate was based on only the front, so the estimate for the back was my estimate.
And what is that total?
10,000 just for the back landscaping, 10,000.
Okay. And the front?
The quoted price from a landscaper was 9,000 to 15,000.
Okay.
Comparable property also has a multi-level deck, whereas I have none, and it's also a 3-bedroom home, whereas mine's a 2-bedroom, and it's also 124 square feet larger.
Okay.
And the other comment that the assessor makes about a Geno's home is true, as it was built at Geno's homes. But I mean, Geno's is a very tract builder in the sense that they build very basic homes like mine, and the other property. So I'm not bringing up in terms of comparing, but I'm just saying I know another property that just recently sold was 23 Poplar Point. It's not. I'm not using it for comparison. I'm just saying that's another property that the builder used. That I know of, that is just a basic property. So Geno's, just because it's a Geno's home, it's not a requirement. It's not a standard that certain finishes, etc., are used throughout the home. They build very, very level homes from that one all the way to one that's on, I forget the name. It starts with Park, but I mean, it's way in the corner of Park, and it's got a turret. I mean, it's a $2.5 or $2 million house.
Okay.
In the corner. But anyways, the point I'm making is that Geno's is a varied finishing, very detailed, varied level detailed builder. That's all.
Okay, understood. Okay, all right. Okay, I might as well ask you now. What do you think that your assessment should be?
Based on my calculations of the properties that that the city of Winnipeg came in, I have my calculations at about 325 or sorry, not 325. Pardon me, 625 to 630. Or not 325. Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, just to clarify, so you're estimating the market value should be 630 to 625 to 630.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so we understand all the different issues you've got with the comparables that you consider your home to be less desirable, I'll call it. Okay, Mr. Goche, any questions of the appellant's evidence?
I had quite a few, but I'm going to scrap the most of them and just, I have one question here, like, to the appellant, are you aware that the city of Winnipeg does not assess landscaping? With one of our mandates being assessing properties in a fair and equitable manner, would it be fair to compensate for your property to have inferior landscaping while ignoring this attribute on the rest of the properties on the roll? Do you feel that's fair?
No, I would not. I mean, it's not based on what the city of Winnipeg determines the value. It's based on sales values. I mean, if a property has extensive landscaping versus the one that doesn't, that's gonna command a higher price.
Okay, thank you. And then I had one more question. So I had some concerns. I know we kind of skipped over some of the comparables, but I was reading your brief last night. Just wondering why one of your comparables, 6 Brookstone, why you selected it when it's located in a different neighborhood, 4.5 kilometers away in South Point, and there's plenty of relevant comparables located much closer. And I'm just wondering if you were aware that that lot sold for $135,000 in 2011, the same year you purchased your lot for $180,000. Because being aware of that might change your perspective on that comparison. Basically, there's a massive difference.
If it's sold for that price, I mean, that was way back when. So, I mean, it's based on sales data, not on what the property sold for.
I'm just pointing out market value difference between South Point and Bridgewater Lakes and Bridgewater Forest. Kind of, my question is why do you feel like going all the way out there for a comparable?
I didn't. I mean, I based that on what the city was using as a comparable. And that property, 6 Brookstone, is right next to 27 Otterview, which the city provided as the comparable.
So I'll caution you, your value was not, we had a conversation earlier this week that you failed to mention, where I gave you my comparables, where I mentioned to you that these were a sample of sales. And I also mentioned to you that comparing assessments to assessments was not a good idea and that you should gather some sales data. When we had our conversation earlier this week,
and the city
I spoke to you for half an hour. So it does clearly say, it's right on your brief, sample. That's all it is. It's actually computer-generated random sample.
Okay.
And I explained
but it is a sales value. It's
okay.
Not I think,
okay, that's. I think it's asked and answered, and we'll just move on from that. I think you made your point, Mr. Gauthier and the appellant. We'll just leave it at that. Okay. Anything else, Eric?
No, that's it for me.
Thank you, Diane. Any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Val, any questions of the appellant?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. My only question is, and I think I've got this right, the 2 properties you presented at 103 Bridgeland and 27 Autumn View, is that right? I assume you're using those as to come up with your estimated value of market value. How much did they sell for per square foot? Did you do it in a quick analysis on that? Do you have that in your? I don't see it in the information.
I don't have that in my brief, but I mean, I'm sure. Sorry, I'm not sure. I'm sure that information would be in the sales data, but I did not provide those values. That was based on the city of Winnipeg providing those properties.
Right, but okay. So let's look at the first one. 27 Autumn View. So it's 1,741 square feet, and it's sold for $658,000.
Sorry, that value was just a note that I put in there. That was assessed. That was the assessed value that's on the City of Winnipeg site.
So I can help out a little bit here.
So that is the assessed value you're presenting, not selling prices, as I asked you before.
That's correct. It did sell, but I did not have put that value in the in my document.
Okay. Now I understand. Okay. Eric, I think that was your.
Sorry, you asked a question, and based on that value, with the $48,000, to which the finished basement would add, based on a $2,000 price, my value would come in at about $610.
Okay. All right.
Because that one does have a finished basement. It does have a deck.
Okay, so, but basically in your presentation, you're presenting assessed values, not selling prices.
No, sorry. My document does not have the sale price in the document. It only included the assessed value. That's not what I'm basing my numbers on. Sorry, okay. That's not what I'm basing my numbers on.
Okay.
I just don't have the sales numbers in my document. That's all.
So you're asking for the assessment to be how much per square foot on your property?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. Other than when I worked it out, it should be about to 625 to 630.
Okay. Just bear with me 1 second.
Certainly.
Okay. All right, we can figure that out. All right. Okay, thank you. I think we understand where you're coming from here with your presentation. Eric, any requirement for a summary on this property?
No, I had rebuttal evidence. I don't want to bore anyone with that. It's not even relevant. Like, it's relevant, but I think it's pretty clear what we're dealing with here.
All right, thank you. And does the appellant have any requirement for a summary?
No, other than my documents in hindsight now, I should have included the sale price, not the assessed value in the document. But that's not what I was basing my evaluation on. It was based on the sale price, not the assessed value.
Okay, all right. Okay, sir. We'll consider all the evidence presented at the hearing today, and we'll get in touch with you as soon as possible. Thank you for appearing.
Thank you.
That concludes 39 Forest Creek Road. Okay. Now we have some remaining items to be heard on the docket. The board will now recess to deliberate with respect to the remaining items to be heard. Okay, thank you, Stephen. I will now call the meeting back to order. The board has deliberated and will proceed with the remaining 2 items on the docket in the absence of the applicants. So, Mr. Goche, we are going to start with item number 8 in the absence of the appellant. File number 22-434, 52 Worthington Avenue. If you would go through the brief, please, including a summary of the comparables and explain what's going on with this increase request, I guess, or what you're doing, please.
All right, the subject property is roll number 0800-327-8500, commonly known as 52 Worthington Avenue. It's located in our sub-neighborhood of Worthington. Most people refer to it as Old St. Vital. 1-story single-family home built in 1935. We have a slight effective age on it. 612 square feet, full basement with some basement finishing. 1 full bath, no half baths, no extra showers. It does have central air conditioning, no fireplaces, no attached garage, no detached garage, no pools, no sunrooms. It's located on a lot that's 5,286 square feet on an external corner. The applicant reached out to us asking for a very minor increase. I had originally reviewed it and decided it's close enough and that we wouldn't change it. And then after that, they've appealed. So I took another look at it here, and that's what I'm presenting to you today. I have 4 comparable sales. Note that our neighborhoods are showing as different neighborhoods, but they really are kind of in that old St. Vital pocket. We have it pretty segregated, but very comparable neighborhoods, either St. George, Glenwood, or St. George or Glenwood. They're all one-story homes, single-family homes. The year builds range between 1912 and 1946. Effective ages vary between 1927 and 1951. On the size front, they vary between, they're all smaller homes. They vary between 588 square feet to 832 square feet. All have full basements. No comparable number 4 has a park crawl space and a full basement, so probably an addition. Basement finish, only comparable number 3 has a basement finish. They all have 1 full bath, no half bath, no extra showers. Only comparable number 2 and 3 have air conditioning, no fireplaces noted, no attached garages. Comparable 1 has a multiple detached garage. Comparable 2 has a single garage. Comparable 3 does not have a garage, and comparable 4 has a multiple. No pools, no sunrooms. Land varies greatly, a big spread there. On the low side, 2,585 square feet all the way to 7,627 square feet. All the sales are in our reference period. The sales prices range between, call it 190,000 and 215,000, which gives a price per square foot range of $251 to $345 per square foot. Time adjusted sale prices range between, call it 209 and 233. 233,000, which gives a time adjusted sales price per square foot range of 270 to 373 per square foot. Like I said, originally I thought it was close enough and I didn't really want to go ahead with an increase. We received a letter, the same one you received in the brief. There appears to be some language barriers, but the nuts and bolts of it is that there are some minor improvements done to the property. So basically, we had the assessment at $217,000, and at one point, the homeowner sums everything up and says they'd be happy with from what I can gather, that's $228,000 to $238,000. So I've agreed that if they're they really feel that way, that $11,000 increase, it's within the range and supported by the comparables, so I'm not going to spend too much time or argue too much about it. So that's it for me. So we're recommending to increase it to what they've requested, which is $228,000.
Okay, thank you. Diane, any questions of the assessor?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Val, any questions of the assessor?
No, I do not.
Okay. Eric, a couple of quick ones. This is on an external corner. Is it on the subject property? I mean, it's on. Okay.
The intersection of 2 streets on the corner that. Yeah, you can see it on them.
Yeah. And that letter, that would be in her evidence, I guess, right? When was that letter received?
I reviewed this during a residential review program. It's dated June 16th, 2022, but I would imagine that date was changed because I received a very similar letter earlier on during a residential review program. And like I said, I kind of dismissed it. Typically when people ask for increases, I'm always a little bit suspect. There can be instances where they're trying to get more money out of the house and the lender's using the assessed value, or there's a divorce going on and they've agreed to use assessed value. So I shy away from these type of requests typically.
Yeah.
and treat them as sort of suspect. In this case, they were asking for such a minor increase that I basically dismissed it as it's close enough. We don't really split hairs with this kind of stuff. And next, right? So here we are. It's under appeal. So if they really want an increase, then the comparables do support a minor increase.
Okay.
That's kind of it. Not much more to say about it. I didn't feel like it was worth my time to go look at this house, to be honest.
Okay. Fair enough. You know, I'm gonna have to ask for a recess to ask a question of Visa regarding this. So, Stephen, we're gonna have to recess for 5 minutes, please.
Sure. Visa has stepped out of the room. She's no longer here, but we can still
Okay.
I want to mention I have concerns that I'm not sure, given the language barriers here, I'm not sure the applicant understands necessarily the assessment process and the potential impact on their property taxes. It's not dramatic, but I'm not sure they quite understand that. So keep that in mind when you make your decision.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to recess, please, Stephen, for 5 minutes. Thanks, Stephen. Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. Okay, that concludes 52 Worthington Avenue in the absence of the appellant. Next item on the docket in the absence of the appellant is item number 9, file number 22625, and that address is 37 Millfield Drive. And bear with us 1 second here, Stephen. I'm gonna have to get your brief up. Okay, does everybody have it? All right, land sale, okay. Okay, Eric, when you are ready, 37 Millfield Drive.
Roll number 0800-494-7400, commonly known as 37 Millfield Drive, located in Minnetonka in the St. Vital area. It's a one-story single-family home built in 1960. We have no effective age on it, 925 square feet with a full basement, no basement finish, 1 full bath, 1 half bath, 1 extra shower, air conditioning, no fireplaces, no attached garage, no detached garage, no pools, no sunrooms. Located on 8,793 square feet of land. I've summarized that and rounded. It's about an 82 by 100 foot lot. We've had discussions with the homeowner in the past that the condition of the house is poor. We have that in our model and in our system, and the value reflects that. So what I've done today is I presented 3 comparable sales of land sales. So these were homes that were in terrible condition that got bulldozered. So I'm basically treating this house like that. Please note that I did an exterior inspection on July 27th. I walked around knocked on the door, walked around the perimeter of the home, and I can tell you that it's been damaged by animals, that it is in very poor condition. So when I saw that, I'm basically looking at this as vacant land. So the 3 comparables, unfortunately, you won't find tear downs or vacant land in Minnetonka. If you map it out and you know the area, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I've had to venture out a little bit, unfortunately, in other areas of St. Vital to find that I feel are inferior in location. So I've presented 3 land sales. I don't want to bore you with the specifics of the homes that were on there. But we've got lots of 55 by 98, 99 by 140, and a lot of 50 by 100. And you can see the time adjusted sale prices kind of vary between $220,000 and $332,000. So when I look at this, I'm kind of like the value is in the land. That's what we have in our system, and that's kind of what I'm presenting you today. So consider it a bulldozer job, and I'm considering that the value is there in the land. That's basically it. And that, the 2023 assessment value of 256, I'm recommending that we maintain that, supported by the land value.
Okay. Thank you very much. Val, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Diane?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. And in the absence of the appellant, I have no questions either. Okay, so that concludes 37 Millfield Drive on the docket, and we have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned.